Listen up, you beautiful bastards. I'm Insipid, and this is Trove. We are back for yet another episode of me talking at your faces in a gentle, loving fashion. And today's topic came up in part because I was having a conversation with someone, and they were like, "You seem pretty chill," and I was like, "Yeah, I try." And like, "You don't appear to get angry." "Yeah, I don't really tend to get angry. That's true." "You are incredibly non-judgmental." I was like, yeah, that is a thing that is relatively true. There are a whole lot of ways to live life, and I am not about to tell you that you're doing it wrong just because I have my own particular way. I'm going to tell people about my way, not to tell them how to live their lives. I know I do kind of do a whole sarcastic, if you want to do things correctly, do it like me, but that's a matter of humor. I hope you understand. And so when it comes time that I have to look at my mess and then try and point to someone else and go, your mess is inferior to mine. No, 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 no. It doesn't work that way. You don't get to be, imbued with the mess that is humanity and then go to someone else and say, you're doing it wrong. Your way is incorrect. It's fucked. Your way is so full of incorrectness that I practically find it offensive. You know what I find offensive? The fact that you would find it offensive. Alright, maybe that's a bit much. But I wanted to jump in on some things that actually are pet peeves of mine. I don't really talk about them very often because they don't really come up all that much. I suppose, if I were to start, just as a matter of pertinence, one person attempting to tell another person flat out, no questions asked, no points for clarification or opportunity to discuss, that they're just wrong. There isn't room for more than one person to be correct. Militants in general, radicalism, that just, I don't. There's very little room in radicalism for good communication, which is the bigger point that I wanted to bring up as an actual pet peeve. And this is what I was telling them at the time. The first one was kind of me just from the hips, but this is the actual thing that I said. What I said was that it is ridiculously, dramatically poor communication, where it's practically intentional, where it is a outright rebuff of the idea that good communication can occur. In one's actions, attempting to interfere with good communication, utilizing manipulation or shouting someone down as a way of communication, because communication is how we attempt to express our experience of reality to each other. And there are so many ways for us to attempt and do that expression. It can be art, it can be prose, it can be speech. And when we're having a conversation, it is that act of speaking that we're engaging in to try and share this horrific existential crisis that we're all going through. And I know some people are much better adjusted and much better at coping with existence than I am, or some of the people that I try and help. But the fact remains is that there's just a whole lot out there going on that is so full of intensity, and we're just, white knuckling it, right? And we feel like we're constantly at capacity, and we engage in this vain effort to express to another person our reality, what we're going through. And in that moment, if that other person engages in behaviors that exemplify a disregard for that person's attempt, for their act of attempting to speak to be controverted, it represents several presumptions that I find incredibly uncomfortable. One of which is, my words are better than your words. Jumping back to the my mess versus your mess. It goes into, my time is more valuable than your time. To speak, to attempt and communicate through speech, one has to engage in several efforts. Those include the organization of thought, the engagement of a social environment, and then the expression thereof. but also it requires time. And we all have this unrenewable resource in our lives called time. It cannot be replaced. It can never be replaced. And so if a person is taking the time to attempt vainly to express their reality to you, and you interrupt them so that you can get your 2 cents in, or to redirect the conversation where the conversation started at and was formed for the purpose of that communication you were trying to engage in, maybe fuck you. Maybe fuck you. I'm not saying that like I'm on a categorical level, because there's always exceptions. If I have random stranger McGee come up to me on the bus and like, hey, I'm going to tell you my life story, it's like, shit, buddy, this is my stop. You take care. Catch me next time. I'm not interrupting them to deny them the dignity of that communication. I'm interrupting them because they didn't really get my consent to start the conversation in the first place. However, communication, and I use the words good communication a lot. It is a bit of a subjective experience there, isn't it? That's a bit of an evaluative statement. But what I mean when I say good communication, I'm talking about excellent explicitness. Being able to express to a person, this is what I mean, this is what I experienced, this is what I saw, this is what I felt, here are my needs, and here's what I would like you to do to help have my needs be met. If you're in a relationship and you can't have that conversation maturely, calmly, without either person breaking down into tears because the act of communication is too intense for them. I have experienced times where that can be used as a manipulation of the conversation. It denies the opportunity to have good communication because you have broken the premise of it, wherein we can have this conversation, this explicit conversation about the things we need in our relationship, and you've replaced it with tears. And I am not going to say that you're good, that crying is unhealthy or that it's inappropriate. It is its own form of communication. It expresses distress, and as an individual, it's very, very healthy for you because it's cathartic. I'm not a huge Freudian fan, but there are some notions from psychoanalysis that do come through and help us understand each other. Again, a matter of good communication. And so that was just kind of that's the broad scope of it. That's what I was trying to get at. Communication can take many forms. There can be many forms of compatibility in communication. My communication that I call good might not be the good communication for everyone else. There are several people out there who are immensely intuitive, and they have this exemplary capacity to understand and speak to a person on their level in a way that they understand, and is entirely utilitarian for their relationships. Good. Awesome. Yes! But if I were in a relationship with someone who could not or refused to engage in explicit communication with me so that I could have really exemplary communication between us where we're both understanding exactly what's going on, down to that very explicit level that I was talking about before, I would probably have to end the relationship with them. And that's not a threat to anyone who's currently in a relationship with me. We've already established very effectively that we're communicating quite nicely. But I am trying to make clear to all of you that if you have communication needs, please seek out and retain people that are compatible with you. Trying to live life with poor communication, trying to live life surrounded by people that do not communicate in a way that's compatible with you, is stressful, it's distressing, and that's just a whole heap of anxiety that none of us deserve. None of us really need to have that particular set of experiences clogging up the arteries of our soul. Please, no, do pass. Insert big stop sign here. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. We all deserve in life what we would experience as good communication. And I hope that this video in some way helped some of you understand the need to engage in that introspective process, where understanding your own communication style and understanding the communication style of others is just paramount to successful relationships and just successful sounds and noises. Good? Yes? Have I communicated those to you? Yes, I have. Well done, me. That said, they are essential to all levels of social interaction. And I hope that you all have exemplary successes going forward. With that, I do want to say a big thank you to the patrons and supporters. I certainly can't do these videos without you guys. And I hope you all have a fantastic day. Take care, everybody.